Hey everyone, before we kick this episode off, I urge everyone listening to like and subscribe to our podcast, wherever you may get your podcast from. So if you listen to us on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating, or also subscribe to us on Spotify. And I urge all of our listeners to head to our website, and you can get more than just our podcast from there. We have news stories all the time there. We have feature articles there. So head to tnpmedia.au. That's tnpmedia.au. All right, without further ado, we'll get stuck into the podcast.
Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Talk and Power podcast. This is a bit of a motorsport update, and I'm joined with co-host here, Johnny and Lady. Johnny, thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me again.
Great to have you here. It's been a couple of weeks since we've caught up. What have you been up to? What's been happening out there?
You mean in regards to work or anything else?
Anything at all.
No, obviously, I've had a bit of, I wouldn't say health issues, but we've had to deal with some teething problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, pardon the pun, but yeah, so I had to have some implants and all that sort of stuff. And so just getting over that, which is good. So I'm back to some normality in terms of time frames and working and stuff like that. So it's good, and back to normal hours. So
mm-hmm.
And then we've just started. Obviously, GT Nationals are coming up, so we're seeing some cars trickle through for that, which is pretty cool.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. Sorry, I couldn't make it the other day. I wanted to catch up. I know you had a couple of cars in there, so sorry I couldn't get there. I just that just didn't happen. We got some big news coming up, actually. So next week, we're actually doing a live podcast from Penrite at number 5 Nexus Way in Bayswater. It's the Penrite are holding a V8 night, and they're going to have David Reynolds and Matt Payne there. So come on down to Penrite. It's Wednesday, the 26th of April, 2023 at 5 Nexus Way in Bayswater. That's Western Australia. If you're listening to us, head on down there. You can catch myself and Johnny and David Reynolds and Matt Payne. And we'll be chatting with the guys. Actually, I'm looking forward to it.
That's good. I think you'll be doing most of the chatting. It's a bit out, it's a bit out of my league, that one.
No, I'm actually looking forward to the chat. You know, we've been doing this for 5 years now, more, 6 years. Sorry, maths isn't very good, and we've never chatted with a supercar driver. So we kind of have, but we spoke with Brad Jones, Dick Johnson previously, but this is our first full interview. So we'll be speaking with David Reynolds and Matt Payne. Really looking forward to that. That is open to the public. It goes from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So head on down there. Thanks to the guys at Penrite for inviting us. It's really great to have those guys on board and inviting us, and the guys from Grove Racing as well. And there's going to be a number of guest speakers down there as well. So make sure you head on down there. It's going to be a huge night. As I said, number 5 Nexus Way in Bayswater, Penrite's their new head office. I'm looking forward to seeing it because they used to be in Welshpool. Looking forward to going to their new premises. Wednesday, the 26th of April, 2023, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Make sure you get there. Cannot wait for that one. So, looking forward to that. That should be good. That's sort of the lead up to the V8s, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. Looking forward to it. Hey, I don't know. Did you catch any of the MotoGP? I caught the sprint race. I got to be honest with you. I've only seen the highlights of the actual race. But
I did the same. So I don't think I think it doesn't matter if you watch the highlights or the actual race. You would have seen the exact same thing, and that's like everyone falling off the freaking bike.
Well, in the first lap, there was 3 that went down. Straight away, I couldn't believe it.
But and I lost. I lost Pecco Miller early, so I don't know. The reason why, but yeah.
Did I hear right that Miller went down 6 times over the weekend? Is that correct?
Yeah, Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And Alex Marquez as well. I think I know in the sprint race he went down, and the same again in the race as well. And
Was he sick, Nick?
yeah,
Because I heard he threw up in his helmet.
yeah, he threw up. He threw up in his helmet, and I think And look, I'm not really sure. It looks like history repeating itself. If you look back this time last year, Franco Bagnaio Pecco got off to a really poor start and came home with it in the end. But I don't know if it's. They keep saying the pressure doesn't like leading, and I don't know. We're just seeing the same thing again.
Yeah, I didn't think that. Like when he was leading, it wasn't like he had rings on his tail.
Hmm.
But I think this, from what I understand and from previous years, this is Rins loves this track.
Hmm.
I think he's won in it in both in the other classes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it was going to be hard for him not to be in that top two for that race because, I mean, it's an LCR Honda. I mean,
Yep.
the bike is not really. I think it was just pure him winning this race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Definitely.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, it's good. Marini on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
Rossi's crew seems to be very consistent and consistently on the podium, which is good to see.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, it was an interesting. The sprint race was certainly interesting, and I think Fabio Quartararo as well dropped the bike there in the sprint race. He's got a bit of work to do as well, but it was great to see Alex out there, like flying the flag because the the team Hondas aren't going all that crash hot. The LCR Hondas, the sort of the second tier Hondas. Look, it was a good win. Obviously, under those circumstances, I guess they'll take what they can get, can't they?
Yeah, for sure. Do you like the sprint?
I do. I think it offers. I think it offers the fans an opportunity. I like the time slot, not the US time slot. I don't like that one at all. But the European time slot works well for us on a Saturday night, and I'll say the same for the Formula One. It works well on a Saturday night. Having a race, I like that. But I guess it comes down to sort of what period you are in your life as well. A lot of people like to go out on a Saturday evening. So I'm thinking that might not work, but for the Australian market, I think it works for most of their audience. I think it works well.
Do you think that they should have separate qualifying for the sprint? Because I think that's the same qualifying position for your sprint and your race, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, yep. So we'll talk about that in a sec. But in Formula One, they are actually changing that. So
do you think they should have that separately for the MotoGP?
I believe
that's confusing to me. Like it doesn't feel right that you obviously you can qualify and then you get two chances at the cherry, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
I can see a point of view. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I guess the fans will speak. It'll be interesting to see track numbers on Saturdays and how they track, even in Formula One, how the gate attendance works on a Saturday. I'm not saying that they rely heavily on those numbers, but I do think that they are trying to get people through the gate as well. And what better way to do than an actual sprint race? So yeah. Some people, the purists probably don't like it. The purists probably think to themselves like, well, this is not racing. We come here on a Saturday to see qualifying, and I like to see just the race on the Sunday. I'm not sure. If you remember, the V8s went to that sort of Saturday format long time ago, and they've never looked back, really.
Yeah. But I think in the MotoGP, qualifying is just as exciting sometimes because they one lap, they put that tyre on for the last lap. They use, rather than on that death knock of 1 minute left, and they're all, sort of building up to it.
Yeah.
I think qualifying's been quite exciting for even for Formula One in that regard too. Just seeing that last bit.
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. The fans will speak. I'm adamant about that, and at the end of the day, we'll know. Hey, did you catch the Bathurst 6 hour? I know it was Easter weekend, but really, I love the Bathurst 6 hour. I won't say it's not something that I'll sit down and watch from start to end. But I think it's becoming a bit of a highlight in the motorsport calendar for a lot of Australians.
Yeah, for sure. I think any time races on the Bathurst is going to be pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know about the 400 BMWs, but other than that, it's pretty good.
It's interesting to see the amount of BMWs that are in it, and like they took the first 3 spots, and it's in that class X, the ultimate performance class. So in the end, the winner was Jaden Ojeda. Magnificent drive from those guys. So Simon Hodges, Jaden Ojeda in the BMW. That one was an M4, and they came home in 6 hours and 2 minutes. Interesting, in number 2 spot was another BMW. That was an M3. That was the Russell family. So Wayne, Drew, and Aaron Russell in that one there. And then another BMW in third outright, and that was the Di Pasquale, Anthony Sewell, and Adam Burgess BMW. That was an M4, that one there. So congratulations to those guys. And in the naturally aspirated, so ultimate performance is basically boosted cars or turbocharged cars. I think that can be supercharged as well. There's boost limits on all of the cars. If you're interested in this kind of thing, I urge people to go to the Bathurst 6 Hour website. They have the categories and all the cars that are eligible for the race. So there's, in Class X, there's about 12 cars that are eligible. So it is the ultimate production car race, because most of those cars straight off the factory floor with a number of, they put the cage in there, they put the mandated safety systems in there, the mandated computers and the mandated radio systems and all that. That's all they do to those cars, and the rest of them is their factory, those things. So they're pretty stout too. So in A2, it's interesting, A2, so that was the naturally aspirated performance cars. They came home in the first cars out of Class X. The A2 category was the first home. So in position number 7, 7th outright, but first in class, was the Mustang Mach 1 of Tony Quinn, Grant Denyer, and you have to forgive me, I don't know the other Quinn, what his first name is. But that they came home in position 7. Isn't it interesting? Did you catch the race? Marcus Ambrose's Mustang?
Yeah.
They were running an auto in there.
But I think they've learned the lesson, but 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
It's only lasted an hour and a half. So I think that car's raced 3 hours in its 2-year history.
Yeah. So. I don't know. I just think that, I think you really roll the dice when you're racing, especially a 10-speed auto. I think there's too many unknowns there. You can't beat clutch, manual transmission. I just think when you're racing, I think
it's obviously a different. It's actually an auto. It's not like a DCT or something like a dual clutch system like the other cars have got. So
yep.
But yeah, that was widely known over the weekend that that was a problem. So they go to the manual and see some more cars like that. Competing next year.
There was quite a few Mustangs, actually. I looked through the list. There was quite a few of them. So number 2 in the class, A2, was in position 8 outright, was another Mustang. It wasn't a Mach 1, however. That was the Delsmar, Kasha, and Gray Mustang. And then in number 3 was actually first to the Holden's home, 12 outright. And it was a Club Sport, actually, an R8 Club Sport. So congratulations to them. It's interesting as you go down through the list of the different variations of cars, and some of you can still race a Toyota Camry XC20. It was the cars that are allowed in there is quite phenomenal. And I think in compact, I think that was the only one. I think there's only one of 2 cars. That was the Mazda 3 SP25. In compact, they came home in 30th outright, but they still finished the race at least. There's a lot of DNFs, so interesting race. What did you think of the support categories? I think they probably actually, in many ways, I actually, after you said that you were watching the GT4 race, I actually watched the the Fanatec GT World Challenge, the highlights on that, and I was, some pretty stout racing there from the from the Triple Eight guys.
I don't know why people say that it's boring, or there's no good racing from GT4. Maybe it's Bathurst. There's a track that makes it. I don't know.
Well, we'll soon find out. They'll be appearing at the supercars as well this weekend. Sorry, next weekend as well. There'll be the Fanatec GT World Challenge will be at Bathurst as well. It'll be interesting to see how well supported that is, and you can always tell how well it is. Like you're sitting there in the crowd and you just wait to see. Like, does everyone get up and walk to the pits or go and get something to eat?
Yeah.
Previous years, I've noticed that the crowd actually stay where they are and watch the racing. I think everyone really gets behind it, so that's really good to see. Yeah, so the Prince Jeffrey Abraham and Jeffrey Ibrahim, Brock Feeney, they're in one car, and Prince Abu Bakar Ibrahim and Jamie Whincup in the other. Now that wasn't a Triple Eight. Well, it was a Triple Eight prepared. Both of those cars were Triple Eight prepared, but they're owned by the princes there. I think they did a magnificent job, but it's great to see they were challenged quite heavily, weren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it was just what do we think about also Renee Gracie making a comeback as well?
I think, yeah, well, why not? You know what I mean? So it's
have to
anytime
be
there's
correct.
So I guess, yeah, I don't know. How can you say? I mean, like a couple of people are saying, if she's, only time will tell if it's if she's earned that sort of respect or if she's worthy of being there. But at the end of the day, some of these other guys, what difference does it make whether you're in that industry, in the OnlyFans industry, or if you're doing something else? Like these other guys are paying their way into that category anyway, aren't they? Really?
Exactly, yeah.
She's not doing anything different, so why should she be? Obviously, she's being looked at differently, and for various reasons. But no, good on her.
Look, I will say one thing. I think anything that brings eyes to the sport is a good thing. I never have an issue with it.
100%.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how many fans, pardon the pun, she brings over to the sport, because extra fans. Yeah, she didn't have a huge following to start with back in the supercar days, and I think Simona certainly did. But now she's gone away and done what she's done, and I guess she created a brand for herself. And it's not for us to sit in judgment of her brand. I really couldn't care less. I think if she's bringing eyes to the sport and people that haven't previously looked at our sport, if they're coming to it and looking at this particular category, which I actually love this category, and we'll have a chat in a second about what we were discussing via text message previously. I think if she can bring eyes to the sport and bring people to the sport and just bring general interest, there will certainly be a media following. And it's great that she's actually making a comeback. Her planned comeback is actually at Barbagallo, at Carco, sorry. And whether that comes to fruition or not, I'm not really sure. But if it does, and she does make a comeback there, I think that's a great thing I think that's a good thing even for WA. I think there'll be a lot of media attention. And you look at it whatever way you want, whether it's right or wrong. I think if you're bringing people to the sport and, the sponsors get a following out of it, I think it's a great thing. I really do.
I think so, and I actually hope she does well. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to see it be just a one-off thing. You want to sort of hopefully it can grow, and she is competitive, and she's not just. I mean, it's not like she needs to do it. So she's obviously still a bit of a race fan, and respect to her.
Yeah, definitely.
She's obviously financially can do it now, whereas back then she had to probably rely on sponsorship and a bit of talent, maybe, But we've seen it so many in supercars and other categories where people bought their way in. It's not unfamiliar. So
one of the things a lot of people, the GT racing, GT4, GT3, whatever it may be, doesn't probably get the kudos it deserves in Australia. And I can't help but think that there's a perception that it's I'm for those listening to the podcast, I'm doing inverted commas with my hands right now, but it's a rich man sport. I certainly don't think that. I think it's a category that those cars aren't that easy to drive. And at the end of the day, it's a homologated category as well. And I like the fact that the cars they're not even, but you know what I mean? They are factory cars that do a certain level of homologation. And I think that any type of sport that brings it, you saw how tight this was in this GT World Challenge at Bathurst as well, how tight that was. The Talbot car to come from a long way back and ended up winning. He just kept chipping away, and he got there, I thought they did a magnificent job, and I do not think that this is a rich man's sport, but there is a common misconception that it is.
Yeah. But they say that the cars aren't cheap, but if you're looking at like the new Gen 3 cars were supposed to be a cheaper car. They don't. I can't see that they're going in that trajectory of being a really expensive car anyway. So I really like it. I still think, I know people banging on or don't like people banging on about the win on Sunday by a Monday, but it's still relative. I think in both supercars and this and GT racing, what I mean? It does reflect back, I think, into whether you got the funds to buy it or not. It still reflects, I think, on sales.
Yep. So you're saying, and I agree with you actually, but you're saying that if a Mercedes, the AMG cars win on a Sunday, there may be a more not for a GT car, but someone might look at consider C63 or whatever it may be, a CLA.
I don't think it's necessarily the win. It's the fact that you can see that car, and if you go to a dealership, you can see the evolution. It's there. You know what I mean? Like it's, you don't have to buy the black edition. You can buy the the SLS or the SL or something like that. The one that's, it's a step down, obviously, in regards to spec, but the especially with regards to Mercedes, even Ferrari to that level, all that heritage and that it's still there. Like it's, we talk about, I don't know, how do you talk, about just the history of the manufacturing side of things, of cars in just general. You can see it in the vehicles, from the track to in the showroom. I still think there's still a bit of an element there. It's not obviously like it was in the old days, but there's still an element there, and I still think there's an element there in regards to the Mustang, being a Mustang and seeing a Mustang race on the racetrack. I still think there's a lot of relationship there as well. Yep.
And I think that's the important thing, that there is a homologation aspect to this sort of racing. I agree with you. I think it's I actually like it, and the cars are awesome to listen to at the track. Yeah. I remember they came probably 3 or 4 years ago with the V8s, and it was an awesome spectacle. They sounded really neat, and I can guarantee you no one will leave their seats there next weekend from when those cars come out. So that's awesome. We hope you're liking this podcast. If you are, head to our iTunes or Spotify podcast channel and like and subscribe to us there. Also, head to our website, tnpmedia.au. You can get all of our episodes, every single one we've ever recorded, from our website there as well. There's also a heap of YouTube content, so head to our YouTube channel and subscribe to us there. That's Talk and Power. Wherever you get us, make sure you like and subscribe us there. We can really do with the subs. Thanks, everyone. Now back to the second half of the podcast. Formula One, I know we're talking about stuff that happened a few weeks ago, but we haven't had a chance to catch up since then. But Formula One, we won't talk about the race per se, because at the end of the day, I was just curious to read some commentary in regards to Formula One that I was watching F1 Confidential the other day, and they made an inference. It was an interesting one, and I'm not suggesting that they're right or wrong, but they made an interesting inference that Liberty Media may be influencing how quickly we pull the red flag out. And they gave the three red flags at Melbourne were interesting ones to look at, because the first one in particular, Alex Albon, where he crashed and threw a heap of rocks onto the track. There was discussion between Ted Kravitz, Crofty, and even Jenson Button as well, that did not agree. Between the three of them, they couldn't agree that the red flag should have come out. They felt that there wasn't enough debris on the track, that the cars could have navigated their way around the debris under safety car.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's interesting because I looked at that a couple of times.
Generally is like this. You can't drive around the track at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I can't see. Yeah, I agree with them on that one.
The second one was a Magnussen one as well, and that was probably even a worse example, or a better example, I guess. There was a lot of tyre debris on the wall. He's hit the wall with the right rear, I think it was, the right rear tyre, and the tyres come off the rim. The rim stayed on the car, but the tyres come off, and there was a bit of tyre debris. Again, another red flag. Now, we've seen heaps of tyres delaminate and come off, and wheels come off. Never seen a red flag, and that was with 2 laps to go.
Are they just being more cautious, do you think?
You
know what I
mean? Their inference is actually a bit more sinister than that. Their inference is they're actually insinuating that they're trying to contrive or generate more excitement in the race. And because
it actually worked against them in this point, because by the time that second one came, I was like, come on, man, finish this race now. Like, it was like, you're taking the piss now. Because once that third one came out, and then you're sitting there waiting so they can just finish on the formation lap.
Yeah,
that was a joke. That was a joke at the end of the day. So it didn't work. I don't know about you, but
I agree. For me. I agree. But what the point is, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, and you would have. Safety cars bring safety cars. Red flags bring red flags.
Yeah.
Because the one brings on the next one sooner rather than later. So what I didn't understand was they pulled up a red flag with 2 laps to go, and then, believe it or not, there was another crash, and they red flagged the race again, and the race finished under safety car. That last crash arguably probably did need the red flag, but these first 2, so in my view, didn't need it. But there is, and I'm not saying that this is true or not, I don't, but there is an inference that Liberty Media is contriving or pushing. There's 2 things that they're pushing. They're pushing race control to slow down and stop the race and make a correct decision. But also that brings more excitement to the race as well. So I don't know. I don't know if that's working out for them.
How about they just work out and fixing the problems faster instead of, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just whatever it is that you need to do, if there's debris, more marshals, or a better track prep, track cleanup situation. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea, the funny thing is they're trying to cap the teams on budgets. But like 10 cars were written off in that.
Yeah.
In the last 4 laps.
Yep.
So that's a backward step, if you ask me.
It's a massive backward step. So I don't. There's a lot of conspiracy theories going around, especially once Americans take something over, that's what happens. There's always this conspiracy theory that comes afterwards as well, suggesting that the Americans are trying to control the sport and whatnot.
Yeah, but 9/11 effect, you reckon?
Yeah. I think I don't necessarily agree with it. We also heard Stefano Domenicali talk about removing the Friday free practice as well. That's under pressure from the Americans as well. They want to remove the Friday free practice. I'm not sure they believe that the engineers all believe that they still need it, and the race crews believe that they need it. But they're pushing harder to remove that free practice, put a qualifying session instead, and then have a sprint race on the Saturday instead. So I don't know how that'll pan out. The teams are pushing against it because they need that free practice session on Friday to sort issues out.
You're going from like in-season testing to extended Friday. Now you've just taken that away. I think you need that Friday practice session.
Yep.
I know with it, probably their idea of taking it out means there's less chance of teams getting it right, and maybe it becomes a mixed batch, a mixed bundle for the Saturday.
Yeah,
and even maybe the Sunday. But yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting times ahead, and we've just seen a change up in this year for the sprint races. So the Friday we'll have the first free practice, then we'll have Grand Prix qualifying on Friday afternoon. Then on the Saturday we'll have the sprint race qualifying, and then we'll have the sprint race on the Saturday afternoon. Then the Sunday will be the actual race. So that's a little bit of a change up there for the sprint format for Formula One this year. I think there's the Baku race is having a sprint race, I believe. I think I'd have to check that, but I think that's coming up this weekend. So
Max Verstappen said if there's any more sprint races, he's not going to be around a long time, I reckon.
Yeah, Max has been very outspoken. He was also very outspoken about that first red flag and the second one as well. So he's quite spirited in his discussion, and he's also a firm believer that those red flags were not at all required. At the end of the day, he had the most to lose out of those red flags, but he made it very abundantly clear that the red flags were not required. So anyway, we'll see how that pans out. We need to talk about the drags. Unfortunately, at this stage, we do not have results for the grand final meet. Rain got the better of the event. So I think it was about 7 o'clock and it got rained out. I don't know. Did you get a chance to go down at all? No, neither did I.
Whatever. I just saw from some Facebook posts and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we don't. I looked at the. There's no points yet for the final. Simon has actually just sent me a text. No, I'll have to call him and seek further clarification. He was endeavouring to come on, and that's why he's still trying to get on, I think. But it's his week. It's his wife is away at the moment, so he's taking care of the kids. So he may not be in a position to come on this podcast. So yeah, our shout out to Simon. I'm just sorry, bear with me. I'm just gonna check that the points haven't been updated, because if they have, there were some really close categories that still had to duke it out, and I don't know what's going to happen there. No, still nothing. No, so unfortunately, we can't give you the championship winners, but just to give you an example, so in the SummerSlam, you see Daniel Gregorini, that's fairly close, 340 to John Zappia's 310, and to Mark Chapman's 305. So that will be interesting to see how the points are allocated there. Nitro Max, I think Tim Stewart's got that covered there. Madison Brown in top comp as well. That would be
because you would have seen something by now on social media, like announcing some championships.
No, there hasn't been anything here. No,
so it must be still working it out.
So top comp, Madison Brown was leading there. Moreno Galotto, shout out to Moreno. Well done there. He's in second place. So even in Super Comp, that's close as well there. I'm not going to say any more, because the only one that this guy's really got it sewn up, I think Daniel Natalotto, who's got that in Comp Bike, he's got that sewn up. I think that's done and dusted. I do believe Casey McClure's got that done and dusted. She was well out in front. That's in Supercharged Outlaws, so congratulations to Casey there. Even Albie Bakranich, I think that's going to be hard to beat in Top Sportsman. Jeff Acton, I think he's got that in Modified. He's got that sewn up as well. And I do believe Oh, Roger, that's really close. Super sedan. That's incredible for his first year. Brody Zapier, he's knocking on the door and winning the championship in super sedan. Stepped out from junior dragster, gone into super sedan, and that is really tight. That'll be interesting to see how that goes. Simon Garbut, wow, mod bike. That is super close, super close there to Ian Reid. Steph Galotto, I think she's got that one and done in Super Street. Junior Dragster, I think Brock Moores. No, that is super tight there in Junior Dragster as well. Brock Moresby, Seth Jarvis, and Lucas Green. So, yeah, we'll look, as soon as we get those results, we'll keep you posted. As I said, unfortunately, we don't know what the results are. I was going to make a call to the Motorplex today, and I just didn't get around to it. So, so for those listening to the podcast, if the results have come out, our apologies. We weren't aware of them at the time of recording. So, apologies about that. Hey, we need to do some podcast shout outs here. Sketch Coleman. Do you know Sketch Coleman, Johnny?
No,
so
I do, mate.
He was I haven't actually met him, but Simon got me onto him. He is the marketing guy or the marketing brains behind Super Cheap Auto. So yeah, you will also remember him. He had the yellow XY station wagon that was going in Street Outlaws, and they produced the magnificent video clip.
So yeah, now I see that. Now I know the car.
Yeah, that's him.
That's crazy.
So Saturday night, talk about this was, I don't know if Sketch, if you've started something, you are a legend. So he started pulling the motor out of the XY. He needed to do some maintenance, and he live videoed it on Facebook, and then took even calls from an MPK commentator over in the main US. I don't know if this is the next big thing, engine change outs, live streaming them on Facebook. I don't know, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, look.
It was unfortunately, believe it or not, the camera went, the video or their phone, whatever it was that they were using, went flat after 45 minutes. So we didn't actually see the engine come out. But Sketch did confirm in a later post that the engine was out and they've got it apart and they've already started the maintenance on it. So Sketch, if that's a thing, how amazing that's going to be. Let's start live streaming engine swaps.
Did he actually break the engine? Is that why I was taking it out?
No, just maintenance. Refresh. Just maintenance. Yep, just maintenance. So, yeah. I think Sketch is going to be hitting the MPK scene over in Queensland pretty hard. So, it's good on him, and he's done some magnificent work. He was heavily involved in the Super Cheap Auto ad that we see with the Russell Ingall, Shane Van Gisbergen, at the golf course. He was like, if you follow his page and you see the ad there, it's a magnificent ad. It took him 6 days of shooting, and it's the magnificent work actually. So go and check that out. Also, Victor Bray was inducted back at the Formula One, the Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Victor. He's going through a bit of a rough trot at the moment, Victor, and he's not looking the best, but shout out to him. Certainly deserving of the Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame, Victor Bray. Magnificent what he's done in the sport.
How long is there a time frame before you can be inducted?
I don't know.
What's your years of service like? Is there a board? How does it work?
That's a question without notice. I don't know actually. I couldn't tell you. Yeah. So it'll be, I think any time a drag racer gets into the Hall of Fame, I think Graham Cowan's already in there, and Victor Bray certainly deserving of it as well.
That's the reason I was asking, because you think it's long overdue. When you think like Victor Bray,
most certainly.
I think anyway.
Yep. So, congratulations to Victor and the whole Bray family, Ben Bray and all the guys that work with Victor over the years, and the companies that came along for the ride with him as well. There's not limited to Castrol. There was a number of oil companies that jumped on board with them over the years, and Century Batteries as well. So congratulations to all those people that got behind Victor. It's great to see him inducted into the Australian Motorsport Hall of Fame. Also, shout out to the Hayes family. It was really sad news that we heard just the other day. Chuck Hayes passed away just the other day, For those that don't know, Chuck came out to Australia, came out to the Motorplex more times than you could poke a stick at with his jet cars, and came out here and really put on a show. Chuck, I put him down as one of those guys that really brought the kids into the drags, because kids don't come to see door slammers, unfortunately. They come to see jet cars. And once they see the jet cars, they see the door slammers, and then they say, yeah, that's what I want to come back here again. But you need the hook. And Chuck and his jet cars, they were the hook. And, you know, I'm a drag racing purist. I'm not a big fan of the jet cars, but you can't help but get excited when they start spooling them up and the fire shooting out the back and they're making the popping and the banging. What you did for motorsport in Western Australia, Chuck, was, you know, really, you did an amazing job. You brought masses to the track. You're going to be really sadly missed, because Chuck, was part of the furniture really here in Western Australia. And our condolences go out to the whole Hayes family. Anything else, Johnny, there? How's your video, Road to Claremont? That seems to be going well.
Yeah, it seems to be going pretty good. Yeah.
If for those that are listening that haven't viewed it, go to your YouTube channel, that's Benzene Detailing, or your Facebook page. You can see it there. Even if you come to the Talk and Power website, it's on our website as well, the video. So make sure you come to our website, either talkandpower.com.au, or go to the Benzene Detailing YouTube channel as well. You can watch the Road to Claremont there. It's a 1-hour feature. It's about the lead up to the Claremont Hot Rod Show, or the Street Machine and Hot Rod Spectacular, as I like to call it, even though it's not called that anymore. I don't think they use the word spectacular anymore, do they?
I think they do.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I hope Boris isn't listening.
I hope he is. Jeez.
Sorry, Boris. But yeah, no, it's a great video, and shot by yourself. And I know Brendan did a lot of editing in that as well. So magnificent work. And also, come back and watch some of your videos. You're doing some really interesting stuff. I really like that EBGT. Geez, that was a shocker, wasn't it, when you got it?
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do with this channel now. We've been all these years, we've had the content, and we've just been throwing up photos. So so yeah, to start this channel up and give people a bit more of an insight into what actually goes on. It's a different perspective of the business, and not even that, just the everyday. Like obviously we do the events. We're following, some of the events we go to, like Lord and Steel and all these car shows. I'm going to give Motorex a shot with the camera, so I'm thinking about bringing the camera there and see if I can put something together for that too, because we can probably get a bit behind the scenes on that on that one as well, which should be good.
Yep.
Which will make for some good viewing as well. So yeah, jump on, and you guys know how all the subscribing and liking and all that sort of stuff sort of helps us, tick
it
along.
does.
So especially if you like it, and if you don't, I mean, even if there's something, why don't you do this? Just let us know,
Yeah.
Because I'm only just doing what's in front of me at the moment. So, but there's always, room to do some more.
Yeah, most certainly. So yeah, head to Johnny's page as well. Click on the Road to Claremont. Speaking of videos as well, Simon Fryer, I forgot your surname there for a sec. Simon Fryer of Joy Drive put together a video of the Camry. So check that out as well. Go to his social media pages and you can see the video of Simon Travellini, our co-host, his Camry. And just my only criticism, Simon, if you're listening, Simon Fryer, that is, it's not the end of the world. The car didn't have power steering. There's lots of cars without power steering. We muscle through it. But poor Simon, I think, was struggling with the lack of power steering in their Camry. It is heavy. I must be honest with you. It is kind of heavy, that V6 transverse.
Compared to the XW?
The XW is light, and that's no power steering, but it's light compared to that. So it's it's a much lighter engine, obviously, as well. And I haven't got the gearbox sitting right over the wheels as well. So I understand, and the diff as well. So I understand what Simon was saying, but I didn't think it's not that heavy either. To be fair to Simon, however, I will say one thing. No, I'm probably not allowed to say that, actually. No, I won't say that. But yeah, there's been a modification done to the car since I last drove it that may make it a little bit harder to drive with the power steering, without the power steering as well. So you know what, I'll just zip it. I won't say anything else. But it's a great video. Simon does a magnificent job. So head to his YouTube channel and watch that there. It's called Sleeper Camry, and you get an insight into the Camry as well if you haven't. It's just a different. I think Simon gave it to the Simon Fryer just to give a different lens, different perspective. Simon does this sort of thing all the time, test drives a lot of cars, and it was good to get someone else to do it as well and look at the car and go through it. So no, it was a great video and well done. Well done to Simon as well, Simon Travellini. Not sure if he's going to be able to make it next Wednesday night, but if not, Johnny and myself will be there. So that's at Penrite, 5 Nexus Way in Bayswater. Make sure you head down there. It runs from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. You get to catch up with Davey Reynolds and Matt Payne of Penrite Racing. And I think some of the Grow family are going to be there as well. So it'd be great to catch up with them.
What are people going to expect there, Nick? Like what's cars on display, something like that?
No, I don't know if the cars are going to be there. I think some of the transporters will be there, but I don't know if the supercars will be there. But I can tell you that there will be a lot of the brand partners and brand ambassadors for the different, not just Penrite, but a lot of the brand ambassadors of that team will also be there, giving special talks as well.
Okay.
And it's not just come and meet one person. There's been a number of brand ambassadors there to meet, and I'm getting a list of guests as well. So I haven't got that at the moment, but I do know that there'll be quite a few special guest speakers there as well. So I think it's a great event. Head down there. Penrite have been supporting motorsport in Australia for a long, long time, so get behind Penrite. I'm really looking forward to it, and we're really grateful to have the privilege. I've got to thank Peter from 88.5 FM, Peter Gray. He actually teed all of this up, so he put me in contact with Cameron at Penrite. So thank you to Peter for putting me in contact with Cameron, because it's been a great privilege to do this. So, and thanks to Peter at 88.5 FM. You can catch him on Sunday nights, and I've forgotten what other his schedule is, but he's a very busy man on the radio station. You can catch him on quite a few days. So shout out to Peter as well. Thank you very much for that. All right. Well, I don't think Simon's going to be joining us by the look of things. What are we now? We're 8:30. So I think if he was going to come on, he would have come on by now. But it looks like he's not going to be able to come on. Unfortunately, we don't have a wrap up for the drags then at this stage. We can't wrap that up. We will wrap that up. We're going to have a special episode next week. So we'll be recording from the Penrite next Wednesday night, so that'll be our next episode, and then I think we'll try and catch up for the supercars as well. I know you're heading down, I'm heading down. I don't think Simon will be heading down, and I'm not sure what Todd's doing, so we'll have to wait and see what's happening there, but I'll be down there for the supercars. You plan on coming down as well, Johnny?
Yeah, I've sort of triple booked myself for that weekend. So I'm just playing with a few things at the moment. So, but yeah, even if worst case I get there for one of the two, but I definitely want to see the new Gen 3 cars and have a listen and I want to see Renee Gracie and get her signature.
I am definitely getting her signature, and I am even going to try and have a photo with her. So Renee Gracie, if you're listening,
why can't we get her on here?
I am going to try. That's why I want to catch up with her, have a photo, and get her signature, and then tee up an interview with her, because I would love to have Renee on the episode. I think it would be great to speak with Renee and just to get a different. Her path to motorsport is different. It's not the standard path that most people take, but it'll be great to speak with her. I always like to hear different stories, and everyone's story is an interesting one, isn't it, really?
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, most certainly. All right, Johnny. Well, look, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming on, and great to see you again. And as I said, if you're listening, head to Johnny's page as well. Just to cut in here, you've got an episode. You're doing a special podcast coming up on Wednesday. Is that correct?
I'm doing one. It's with detailing down under, so it's more detailing orientated.
Yep.
But I'll throw up once we get that done, then I'll send you a link and post it up. And if anyone's into that sort of stuff, it's always you can get some. They don't just talk about necessarily sort of detailers. They talk about people that to people that sell the products too, so you can get maybe an idea of different products and tools and equipment that some of the detailers use. But it's called Detailing Down Under. I'm pretty sure it's called. So.
Okay, all right. We'll keep an eye out for that, and when it's out, we'll share that on our social media pages. I always say, I think it's good that we share podcasts around it because at the end of the day, it's not territorial. You know what I mean? What we're doing is not territorial. I think if we share information around, everyone's better off for it in the end. So,
I think so too,
yeah, most certainly. So yeah, that'd be great. It'd be great to see. All right, Johnny, look, thanks for joining us on the podcast. We'll see you next Wednesday, the 26th of April at Penrite. Take care. I'm looking forward to it as well. See you, Johnny.